Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome back. Today is a new day. We got a lot of stuff accomplished. On Saturday, I ended up having just to put the camera down. Morale was low and attitudes were poor, especially on my part. And I do have a little bit of footage, and if you see something out of place in this video, it may be from that. I don't know, but we had tons of problems with the mulch layer. Couldn't get it to make a hill, and it wouldn't cover up the plastic when we were going through. Partly because I think the soil might have been too damp. It looked kind of dry on top, and it worked up fine. But once we started digging into it, it went south from there. So we did manage to get enough hills and stuff done to plant our potatoes. So right out there we've got 5 rows of potatoes, so that's equivalent to about 500 potatoes. And then we've got 2 rows of onions and leeks, which is I think we did about 1,200 of those. And then we did manage to get 1 row of plastic laid, and in that row over there we ended up putting some zucchini, squash, and cucumbers. Not sure what we're going to do with the other 2 rows yet. We'll just have to see. Corey's down there working on the strawberries, getting them uncovered and cleaned up. Actually fertilized those last night, and they're looking pretty good. We'll probably go out there later on and take a peek at them. But today we're focusing on the greenhouse. Again, I did have some clips, and I might throw some of them in there. What we got accomplished in here on Saturday. Alright, so we've got our drip tape here in the greenhouse. This is just your regular drip tape. Same stuff that we use when we're laying it under the plastic out there. But basically what I did, I found center here, so that is our center row, and I went 40 inches either way, so we'll have 40 inches but you know, for a walkway here. It's actually 30 some inches there, but didn't want to get too close to the end wall, but I also wanted it far enough away so we could walk back there if we can. I tried to squeeze another row in there, but you know, even if I put it like right up next to the outside, you really can't squeeze another row in there, or at least I couldn't, unless you want to put on 36, and I think that's too close. You know, I wanted at least 40 so we could get in and out of there easy when we're harvesting. But again, I just measured this, and then I just laid the drip tape out and then kind of just tied it off so it'll kind of stay in place. And then I've got this weed mat. Now this really came from where we grew mums over here last year. It actually blew up. The wind, you know, blew it out in the yard and stuff, pulled up the stakes. So we're going to use this actually in here because it's kind of going to be doubled layer. I think this is 12 foot, and so I don't think it's exactly wide enough to go all the way to the edge, and we kind of want to go all the way to the edge here and then take some staples, and you know, it's just going to cut down on any weeds. And we just went down and I stapled it on top of this board, put some staples down there. We also put some of these spikes in there to hold it down, which I'm going to put some more in there. But one nice thing about this fabric is the lines that are painted on here. So if you notice, you know, we've got our drip tape running here. We'll probably go down through here and use this line here as a guide when we're making the holes in the plastic. And what we'll be doing there is we'll show you in a little bit, but I got like a little can, it's a little round piece of exhaust, 5-inch exhaust, and we'll take one of those little torches and melt a hole in the plastic every 20 inches and plant our plants. So that's not actually, I have to, you all watch Farmer Dre or anything like that, I actually got that idea from him. That little with the torch makes it a lot easier than trying to cut into the plastic. But right now we're going to take this rest of this plastic here, because you can see I've got a little bit over where it didn't quite go all the way, and we'll just go down this side do the same thing we did over there and then overlap it. That's probably a little overkill. You really don't need that much, but this plastic again is used, and you'll see like right there's where some of those stakes were to hold it down in the ground. Weeds will actually come through those little holes, so if we double layer it, you know, we want to try to keep weeds out here as much as possible. So if we double layer it, again, otherwise we'd just be throwing this away. So we're just going to go ahead and use it. One of the nicest things about having these metal posts in the greenhouse is I've got a good place to put my GoPro. It is getting hot in here though, so already come out of this shirt. Alright, so kind of went ahead and cut this to how I wanted it. We got it in the greenhouse. Now if you've never worked with this fabric before, it frays very, very easily. So once you cut it, you want to make sure you double over the fabric so it won't continue to fray. So when I double this over, I'm just doubling over about 1 inch, about the width of this 2x4, plus it's going to help to hold it in to where we want it. And I'll just put a staple in here, you know, ever so often, just to kind of, again, make sure it holds. Every 6 inches or so. Staples are cheap, and I want it to, you know, look nice. So another thing we're kind of going for here is to help line up with the other fabric. We want to try to keep our lines the same as much as possible. This here is off just a little bit, but I'm not going to be too worried about it because it's close enough. And again, when we come through here and stake this, we'll fold this underneath. And another thing to keep in mind, since all of our wind comes out of that direction 90% of the time, we're putting this piece on first, and then we'll put the other piece on top of this. So if the wind blows this way, this piece won't be flapping, and if that makes any sense. So quit yapping, get to work, all right? A pair of scissors also always comes in handy. If you try to cut this with a utility knife, it makes it fray even worse. Another thing is that the torch idea, if you got one of those little handheld torches, that's the preferred method because it will actually kind of melt these on the end, and then so it won't fray anymore. All right, and there you have it. We're ready to start getting some holes made and getting ready to plant. Now, if I did mention it before, this greenhouse should hold about 100 tomatoes on 20-inch centers. It's 12 foot wide, 60 foot long. So that's what we're going. That's what we're going for. Before we start drilling the holes, though, I am going to connect our irrigation. And as I showed you before, you know, we've got it pulled out here on the stake, but we still have to connect it to the hard line. That's just 3/4 inch hard line. We will poke holes in these in front of the drip line, and there's some fittings that go on the end of that connect to the drip tape. What I'm going to do, though, I believe, is I'm going to drill a hole somewhere low down here to run this pipe, and then there on the other side we'll cut a hole so we can run this hard line through both greenhouses. Doing that, I think it'll keep it cleaner, you know, keep it from being in the way of the doors and that kind of thing, people tripping over it. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to work on next, and then again start burning the holes. Alright, I think you guys can see this, but basically, so we got our pipe run through here, I got a trusty pair of scissors, so we're going to untie this now where I had it. This drip tape. And that's kind of, probably need to put that, we'll just take this pipe out. So you want it kind of, when you cut this, you want to make sure you're behind one of the emitters. I don't know if you can see that, there's a little hole there when you attach these. This is just what's going to attach into the pipe. You can buy little things to stick in the pipe. I just found this, the regular old nail works just as well, so that's what we're using here. But I'm going to cut that behind the emitter, like so. So we still got play in our pipe. What I like to do, I like to put the fitting on first, because you can get it on a little bit better. Just get it opened up. And on these, this is like a screw lock, so make sure they're screwed all the way back against the fitting, like so. So we'll put this in as far as we can, and then screw it the opposite way, and it'll come over top of the drip line. And tighten it up and give it a little tug. Make sure it won't come off, and you should be good to go. Then you can just take your nail, plug it into the, you don't want to go all the way through both sides, just go through one side, pull that out, and that'll pop in there actually. And there are some different types of fittings you can get. These are just what we got. You can turn on each row, turn it off individually, but basically that's what we're going to do. And we'll take some more of these stakes here and probably just stake our line down so it doesn't move around a lot, and then we'll be ready to go. Alright, so this is our fancy contraption that we made to burn the holes in the plastic. Got a piece of old exhaust pipe, and we kind of fastened it in there with a carriage head bolt, and then added this so we don't have to bend over because we're lazy, like that. And then we take our fancy propane torch here and just walk down through here. And the good thing about using it like this, there's no mess to clean up, it just melts it all and makes nice little holes to plant in. So pretty simple. And there you have it. Now, one thing we did here when we built this, we when we put this, well, I don't think you can see it very well here, but that block sticks out past the exhaust piece there, just a little bit. So we were lining that up on this line here when we burn our holes to try to stay the same distance away from the drip tape. There was a couple places we kind of got into the drip tape just a little bit. It must have moved under the fabric, but you know, we've got the little splice pieces here if we need them. Yeah, we can just splice the drip tape with that if we have to. Now we haven't on the other end there, we have not tied off our drip tape yet. We're going to run water through this and make sure everything flows out the end down there, and then we'll close those off and take those stakes out. So we got the greenhouse ready to plant in the morning. At least that's the plan. We got the irrigation all hooked up, tested. Had a few leaky spots we had to patch, but no big deal. While we were doing that, and on irrigation, you can kind of see maybe there, we ran some hoses around, made some splices and stuff, and tried to basically get everything up there to where the inductor tank is, so I don't have to move hoses around all the time. We can just kind of control everything from there. We put in some shut-off switches at different locations so we can kind of water different things at one time. But wanted to bring it in here and show you the strawberries. They're looking pretty good. You can see some blooms coming in there. We irrigated and fertilized these last night. Well, Corey said he saw some berries, but I'm not seeing any. And he was down here kind of cleaning this up a little bit. All in all, they're looking pretty good. We're just going to start fertilizing the heck out of them. Probably every other day we'll give them maybe a pound or so. This is like, I think 4 rows right here is like it's like a little over 1/10 of an acre. And I believe on strawberries you need probably about 7 pounds of actual nitrogen per acre. So we'll have to do some math and figure out actually how much to give them, but I think that's going to equate to about a pound a week. So not a whole bunch, but we'll probably put a half pound or so in there every time we fertilize. We don't want to over fertilize, but we'll make sure they're getting enough. That is going to wrap this video up today. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be planting tomatoes in the greenhouse. Actually, a buddy of mine let me borrow his mulch lifter. So we're going to pull up all this mulch behind me and down over the hill here, and so we can get this tilled and get ready to put new mulch down and get ready for what we're planting out here. But if you're still with us, appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. All the YouTube algorithms and stuff like that kind of helps get the more viewership and that kind of thing. So we do appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time.